people like O'Scanlan. They don't get the Constitution. They truly believe that this compromise is legitimate, and that the wealthy can get away. If you can afford it, then you can get out of it.
Well,
but if you can't afford it, then you're stuck.
But the state has a duty to parent our kids for us, according to Scanlon.
Pretty much. Pretty
Okay.
much.
So what's the drama? I mean, all of a sudden, I was watching this live on Big Del Bigtree's network.
Right.
It was just Liza with the folks here at Vaccine Choice. We're talking about it. We're just glued to the drama on this thing.
Right.
And then he comes in after an hour and a half. It was supposed to be a 15-minute recess. Hour and a half later, and you can always spot him with the suspenders, white shirt, the big pot belly. Oh, I'm Sweeney,
right?
And then he does a few, meaningless votes and gavels them out, and the gallery just erupts.
Yes.
Screaming, yelling, shouting, and I don't know. To me, this is one of those moments where you have laid down the gauntlet. You said, "Don't you ever try this again." I'm questioning that they'll even come close to this again.
Well, it will be interesting because of the politics there, and since so many people accept this as a political question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the beauties that I encountered on the East Coast was they have been put between a rock and a hard place. And more so than we have experienced here.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been put between a rock and a hard place so much that they are done. They very much are done. I mean, there were people who wanted to tear the doors open and burn the Capitol down.
Sure.
Okay? And I don't
For
mean
my
that
kids.
Yes, and I don't mean that this was an idle threat.
Warriors or guardians?
Well,
These are liberals too.
Yes.
But they're parents, first of all.
But parents first, and they're
right.
trying to protect their kids as they see fit.
Yep.
And the point is that when you have people from whom the children did not issue forth, and I say it that way on purpose because it's like, how do you determine who has jurisdiction here?
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, whose property are these kids? As much as children are
yeah.
property.
Well, that's the tautology of the left. It takes a village.
Yeah.
Right,
the
but-
property of the state.
But the point is that property rights have to come in here somewhere, and that's the problem. Is property has been completely rejected for favor of taxation on whatever we want, however we want, for whatever we want.
Yeah.
And it dictates to whatever we want, for whatever.
And
we
I
want.
want to say this. I know Oldham's D'Ambrosa's got a question, but I grew up in a union household.
Right.
And especially in these eastern industrial states like New Jersey and stuff, the union folk are good family folk generally.
Yes.
And they are family first. And I say that to say they can be allies for many of our values. And that's something, I know D'Ambrosa is going to ask you more about this, what we can learn. But that's one of the things I wanted to say, is that union folks are still family people with family values.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, despite what the union steward tells them how to vote,
Right.
Yeah, well, the left is starting to learn this, or really the true liberals, that aren't part of the left, because the left is illiberal. Problem with modern liberalism is what Dr. Piper always says, right, is that they're illiberal. And so they don't care about property rights, and this whole idea of these communal values, and, we've got this herd immunity, it all goes to communism, essentially.
Yeah.
But besides the fact that free will is an illusion and we're all slaves to our biochemistry, what can Oklahomans learn from New Jersey?
I don't think Dr. Piper would agree with that.
We don't know until we ask him.
No, I've heard him say that many times. We are not slaves to our bodies. But anyway.
Well, I think there are a few things. Number one, we should be very thankful that we have easy access to our legislators in comparison to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing that we learned in New Jersey. Although the legislators have an office in the Capitol, they have no assistance, and the doors are locked.
They're broom closets.
They're basically glorified broom closets. They're just to provide a working space for the legislator when he's even in the office.
Right.
And so there is not this going to the Capitol and ability just to go up and get to your legislator and be able to have a conversation.
And some of that actually is good if you look at it this way. I looked it up. The state provides them each a office in their district.
Well, that is true.
And that's a good thing.
That's a good thing,
That
but
sounds
when you are you are down to the crunch time and you are trying to reach them for these kinds of issues, it is very difficult to get to them. And so we have, there are trade-offs there. We also should be thankful that we are nowhere close in Oklahoma to where they are in. I mean, we're not faced with a vaccine or else kind of a bill here.
Right.
We defeated that a couple years
Not
ago.
since Senator Yen.
Yes, and I mean he's
God
gone
rest
from
his
the
soul.
he's gone from the legislature. He is not gone from trying to promote these things. He's still promoting them. Right now he's going through the health department trying to get his ideas through their rules and so forth, despite the laws that they operate under.
Yep.
And we have to fight that. But the other thing is, we also have in Liza Greavy, Don Spencer for OK2A, and in some of these groups, we have people who are fighting for us and coming up with legislation, who are meeting and able to affect the legislators and have a relationship with the legislators. That does not exist in New Jersey. So there's nobody that's doing that, and their job is compounded again by being forced to go to the districts to reach the legislators, because they spend more time in the districts than they do at the Capitol. So we have a lot to be thankful for. We can't be complacent. We have to learn the Constitution. We have to be getting our people who are working for us to actually promote constitutional legislation. I have a friend in the legislature who I'm talking to about constitutional matters. He wants to defer to the people who are running these larger groups. So if they are not coming up with something that is at least constitutional, then they are deferring to them versus somebody like me who's coming up with a constitutional bill. And we have no hope of getting to a constitutionality.
Oldham, it says here you do some impressions of the protesters in a stand-up routine. Oh no! What impressions of the protest stood out? Darn it!
Well, the
Simple mistake to make.
actually, the first thing that stood out was the noise.
Yeah.
And two, the level of organization that certain groups brought to it. It was because of a couple of groups. I mean, one group had an RV that they brought and were providing a place for nursing mothers to nurse their children. There was another
Station
group.
Get vaccines, right?
Secretly vaccinating the
That
babies.
was the Walmart I was at the other day that had 4 tables set up and all tables.
You need one of those just to stay safe and healthy, folks.
The other thing was the coffee and tea, the soup that was ordered. The one group had literally financed this whole thing.
If you can't be there, phone it in. Talk about the meals.
I mean, we're talking pizza and gluten-free pizza, gluten-free soups and things like that. Because there's so many. Well, no, the thing is that there's so many of these kids that were there participating that have
fragile
gut issues
health,
because of the vaccine injury, and so they were providing all of this stuff. And then they were providing volunteers to get it out and get it into the people who were back demonstrating, so the demonstrators never had to leave. I'm telling you, they financed and some there were hundreds of dollars worth of these things phoned in from California.
These things, pizzas.
Pizzas and
from out of state. That's
Michelle Obama approved or not?
Yeah.
But fresh fruits and vegetables, the produce company
great
came.
job, Oldham, going out there and supporting those people in New Jersey.